What's up? Oakley 450 back and doing a race recap on the Rock and Roll Nashville Marathon. I was able to do the half marathon in it, and I was able to finish that. And they have a pretty cool little finisher's medal this year. Here's one from the previous year, from back in 2013 when I last did it before I went into the military. They shrunk the medal down a little bit on size, but they have actually added on where it does little LEDs now. I don't know if you can see that sort of on there. But so they shrunk the medal down in size a little bit to add those little LED features on there. That's pretty cool because I've never had a medal that actually lights up, so that's pretty cool. As far as the race recap on the half marathon, as far as race plans go, that is the worst race plan I've ever had happen. I mean, that race plan, it completely went out the window. All right, starting off with the beginning of the morning, beautiful day for a run. And that's what I was really looking forward to, is just having a nice, easy run that morning and just being able to enjoy the run and just see sort of where I'm at for the beginning of the season and see what I really need to focus on and what I need to work on. But starting off, I was trying to go over there and I was going to use my Apple Watch for this first run of the year because I haven't used it in any races yet, and I was wanting to try to use it on a race just to see how it compared, how it did, and try it on a half marathon. During my warm-ups, getting ready for to get going on the half marathon, it would not be able to track correct pace. The fastest it could ever track me running was at like an 18-minute mile, and I know I was going way quicker than that. I think I was pushing maybe an 8-minute mile, a 9-minute mile, something around in there, because that's the one guy I met up with, and he was running, and my watch pace was way off from what his was recording. And we even went out to a park, and we still could not get my watch to record anything under an 8-minute mile. So I don't know why it was doing that. We even checked to see if it was because I might have had it on like indoor run or something, and we had it all correct on that. We even tried it on the Apple Fitness setting, and then it still had a lot of problems. So I don't know what was going on with the Apple Watch, but so I didn't go with it. I actually went with my Garmin. I brought it with me too, just to have, a safety backup feature, just in case one watch battery died or something, or even something like this happened. I always have the Garmin with me, and it's flawless. It has worked perfectly every time I've ever tried to use it. So that was my first problem I had with the race that morning. Then after that, we were recording footage. Me and my wife was walking around. We were recording footage of all of Nashville and everything like that. And then all of a sudden, my GoPro battery, it just dies. It goes out on me. When I left that morning, I had 100%, and then all of a sudden, I got down to around the 40% mark, and it just went out. It died. We pulled the battery, put it back in, and it would not reboot back up. I don't know. I've charged it back up now. It's working now. I have no idea what happened with my battery, but obviously I'm going to have to pick up another battery. That way I don't have that issue again. So I did not have any race footage of the race, and I just left the camera with my wife because it just kept dying on us after it would record for just 1 to 2 minutes, and then it would die. So I just gave her the camera for the start of the race and got her to actually record some of the startings of the elites, some of the pedal bikes, and then the start of me and my wave, and I think I was in wave 3 on that. So I got her to record some of that, and then afterwards she just walked around and recorded some of the race that was being run and all that. Overall, for shoes on this race, I was actually going to run in the Boston 7. I've actually received these now, and I was going to run in the Boston 7 is what my game plan was. But they did not arrive until like 2 nights before the race, and I did not want to go into the race with a shoe that I have not worn yet. So instead of me going with the Boston 7, which everybody says is a really good, half marathon to marathon shoe, I thought I'm going to skip on that one because I don't want to go into any kind of race with just a brand new thing I've never tried out before. And so I ended up going with the Vaporflies again. And I'm thinking this is going to be like the last race for the Vaporflies. Right now they've got like about 230 miles on it, and I can really start to tell a difference on the Vaporflies. I'm going to actually take them out for one more 10K run before I actually pull them and retire them. Just to make sure that what I'm feeling is accurate, because I wasn't able to get an accurate evaluation from this race, and I'll get to that in a minute. But from what I'm feeling so far is the Zoom X foam is still holding up really well for about 2 to 3 miles, but then after that 2 to 3 miles, you can just feel it just tapering off more and more and more, and by the time I got to the end of the half marathon, it almost pretty much felt like a racing flat, completely different than what the race I took it on in the Haunted Half Marathon last year. Completely different feeling shoe. So I'm probably going to change these out, get a new pair of Vaporfly since I wasn't able to pick up the Vaporfly next. And I'm going to take these shoes and I'm going to make them more of like a training shoe for like a 5K, 10K training shoes. What I'm going to use these for until they're completely done, because the outsole of these is still holding up really, really well considering the mileage they have on them. And I still like them to run in. So that was my shoe situation, what I went into. So I was having problems with my camera, I was having problems with my watch, and then I wasn't able to actually go with the shoes I wanted to go with either into that race. But anyway, for the race, I actually was able to meet up with some people, get out there, and gonna have this really nice, fun race. And my game plan for going into this race was to actually take it easy, go out there doing like, starting off with like an 10 mile pace, nothing really hard, nothing really challenging. Run the first 6 miles of it at that pace, and then I was going to drop it down into like around the 7:30, 7:45s, try to run negatives. And then I was going to just try to see how close I could get to what I'd ran in the half marathon last year, which was about 5 months ago. But I wasn't even going to try to beat that time though. But getting into this race, first 3 miles went solid. They were exactly where I wanted to be at that pace. Felt really comfortable. And if you've ever ran the Nashville half marathon, the first part of the half marathon is unbelievably a lot of hills. It's like a lot of rolling hills. And then after about the halfway point, it drops off and it gets a whole lot flatter. But getting into that, after we got into that 3 miles, we were all running in this little group, and I had this one guy I was talking to as we were going. And we got almost to mile 4, the first water station of the race that I know of. I think there might have been one at mile 2, but this is the first one I really knew of, is at mile 4. And for some reason, they only had water stations on the right-hand side of the road. I don't know why, because every other water station that we came through, there was water, Gatorade on both sides of the road, and you could go to either direction. But for some reason, at this station, there was only a water station on the right-hand side of the road that I noticed. There may have been one on the left, and I just not noticed it. Or they may have had that split up with Gatorade on one side and water on the other, I'm not sure. But we were almost to this water station, and we had this guy that came from the left-hand side of the road, and he actually cut across the whole course. And when he cut across the whole course, I mean, if you've ever ran a big race like that, I mean, it's packed. There's a lot of people. But when he ran across that whole race, the whole course, he actually tripped a guy he was about 6 to 7 people in front of me, that he actually tripped a guy. And that guy tripped the guy behind him, and it ended up being like a huge pileup at the mile 4 water station. And I was like right at the back of that. I ended up getting tripped right at the end. But luckily, I only had one guy land on me, and he stepped on my ankle, which that changed the whole race plan for me from there on out. The front guy, he actually got his hand tore up right on the ball of his hand, and his forearm got tore up pretty bad. But I'm thinking he was okay. If you're one of those guys in that pileup, leave it down in the comments. I'd like to see how y'all are doing and all. I didn't get to talk to a lot of you, but I actually ran with one of the guys that actually got tripped up too, also. And I mean, that was the first time I've ever been in any kind of race where we all got tripped up, and I mean, it was just a massive pileup. But whenever I got my ankle stepped on, that changed the whole race plan, and I went from trying to even push it down into the faster paces to I'm hurting. I just going to take it easy and try to finish this race. So I kept my pace down I dropped it down to like the 8:30s, 8:45s, and I ended up with my average pace being like an 8:59, I think is what it ended up being. But I'm not worried about that because I was just running this race for fun. I wasn't racing it to be competitive or anything like that. But still, overall, yeah, my overall pace was an 8:59 mile pace, where I had to drop it down after mile 4. I was still able to finish it in under 2 hours at a 1:57:51. So that's like 17 minutes slower than my Haunted Half Marathon race, but I'm fine with that. But overall, still, with an injury, I was able to finish 2,016 out of 17,228. So I still think that's a really good finish, considering that many people. I'm pretty happy with that. It's nothing to brag about or anything, but mainly I got out there to run it to benefit the St. Jude's Foundation. When they were doing it before the race started, they said that there was going to be about 30,000 people running this race, and altogether they had said when like at the beginning of race time, they had already raised $2 million for the St. Jude's Foundation. So that's impressive. I'm a big supporter of the St. Jude's Foundation, and hopefully next year I'm going to be running as one of the St. Jude's heroes. I want to be able to run them and be able to support them even more, and I'm actually going to do a fundraising endeavor trying to come up to the St. Jude's half marathon. I'm going to run that next year and try to raise a little bit more money for St. Jude's, because I'm really supportive of that foundation and all the things that they do for the kids. So that's sort of a race recap of the Rock and Roll Nashville half marathon. Didn't really go as I had planned, didn't go as I hoped, but pretty much just throw those plans out the window, and I just went with what I had to do to be able to just finish the race. It was a new experience, and I've realized that I actually need to bring more things with me when I come to a race if I plan on either filming, or I'm glad I actually brought an extra watch with me this time for that. But the next half marathon I think I'm going to do is like the Viola Valley half marathon, which is a lot flatter course. That's like about a month away. So this year I'm probably gonna have fun with that one too and evaluate. If I feel good, I'm gonna push it. If I don't, then I'm just gonna take it easy and run with some bunch of friends that are gonna be there. The main race that I'm focusing on this year is the Haunted Half Marathon, and trying to bump up my time in that one, because that's one of my favorite races of the year. Later this week, I will actually be doing my first run in the Boston 7, and I'm hoping I'm going to be able to run the Viola Valley half marathon in this one, because I really want to see how that one does in a half marathon. And I don't know if I'll be able to have the new Vaporflies in by that time. But I'm looking forward to a first run in these. That should be coming out later this week. I think we have rain coming up in the next few days. I actually have the Odyssey React Shields now. I was able to pick them up over this past weekend. Nike had a 30% extra discount off of any of their closeout shoes and at their store. I was able to pick up the Odyssey React Shield. I think it was $40. I think is what it ended up being, the final price of that one. So I got that really good shoe at a really good discount. So whenever the rain comes in, I'm planning on taking that one out and trying it out in the rain, see how that performs in that. But then after this upcoming weekend, I'll be having the Boston 7s. I'll be running in those and giving my first run thoughts on those. But that is it for my half marathon race recap. Make sure let me know what you think in the comments below if you were able to run the Rock and Roll half marathon. I plan on looking around to see if I can run one in either Atlanta or up in Kentucky before the end of the year, and actually have two of the Rock and Roll marathons, because I think there's additional medals that you can get for running that. But as always, thanks for watching, and thank you for your continued support.